Hello, Garland Nixon back here with Matt Weinglass. He's straight out of Los Angeles. He's got his finger on the pulse in LA and Hollywood and all that stuff. And we're going to talk about fires. We're going to talk about ceasefire, amongst other things. Let's talk. Hello, Garland here with Matt Weinglass. He's a writer and producer and actor and activist and podcast guy and all that good stuff and a friend of the show. Matt, welcome back.
Thanks, Garland. Thanks for having me back.
All right. So fill me in. What is the state of affairs in the Southern Cal area regarding these very, very mysterious, and I say mysterious. The more I'm like, bunch of fires popped up out of the blue. That's weird. But at any rate, let's start with the state of affairs. A lot of suspicious things are always happening, Matt. But let's start with what the heck is going on currently.
Well, we are a week and a half into this, Garland, and it's not in our rearview mirror just yet. I mean, we still have two big fires. The first one that had popped up about a week and a half ago, that was the Palisades fire. We checked this. It's called the Watch Duty app, so we get up to the second information on watch duty, and you're not going to believe this, they're still only at 31% containment, and that's the whole area with Malibu, the Palisades, all that expensive property. It's all gone. It's just gone. And we talk about how weird it looks, how odd, because you have 8 fires that popped up in that 48 hours. Now they put a bunch of them out by this point, but you still have, I mean, that was the biggest one. It actually, there's 23,700 acres gone. That's all that was all the damage. They still don't have a third of it contained yet. It's insane. I'm like, I don't mean to smirk at it. It's just the audacity that they think that this seems like normal and okay. And even if you are in that climate change arena, which I understand that we want to protect the environment, and like I grew up all about that. And like if you're 100% in on that being the cause and the reason, you should be extra furious that our leaders failed us, that they didn't see this coming. And you had all these things, we've talked about this earlier, Garland, the water being shut off, the reservoir that our governor has the audacity to be angry at Trump for calling out the fact that the Palisades reservoir is bone dry, and it's been that way for years. I mean, we should have had this thing solved way in advance. So again, even if you think you're talking about this climate change situation where you have 8 fires popping out of nowhere, where are the resources? I mean, you got our completely brain dead mayor who can't even open her mouth. $17.6 million gone from the fire funding. You got the State Farm canceling the insurance from the homeowners right before, just 2 months before. I mean, the list goes on and on. And then I want to talk about the other fire that is still going. This is the one in Pasadena, the one that we're talking about, the Altadena. It's just above Pasadena. It's called the Eaton fires, and it's a little more contained than the Pasadena one, but this one doesn't. I'm sorry, than the Palisades one. But the Eaton fire doesn't get any coverage at all. Why? Because the people that are affected in the Eaton fire aren't as Hollywooded out. They're not as connected to the media. So when the media is they don't want to cover it. It's not as sexy as a headline. But these people are really suffering, and they don't get really any coverage at all. And they have 14,000 acres gone, only 65% containment. And the status of both these fires are still active. So it's infuriating that these things are still not taken care of. And some people just think that we're just kind of moving on from this little start of the year, little blip in the start of the year, and we're going to keep going. No, this is ongoing, and there's still no solution to it.
Yeah. Let me see one thing. You know what I think is interesting? Let me show you something interesting. Okay. There's something that I thought is ironic, and that is that the Rams have moved. They're playing a football game against the Vikings. They're not playing in Los Angeles for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing in Arizona or something. They're playing at State Farm Arena. How ironic is that? But as if the as if the for some reason, the media always, I'm up, it's just I am now just like so in tune to all of the censorship, right? I got to show you this. Now, wouldn't one think that if you did a search, this is a big playoff game. The Rams and the Vikings, two storied franchises. Oh, the Rams, the Minnesota Vikings. Who hasn't heard of those people running around? Everybody's excited. So you would think that if you would do a search that would say Rams game, State Farm Arena, oh my God, what would it return? No news articles found
Oh,
for
come on.
Rams game, State Farm Arena. No news articles for Rams game, State Farm Arena. I mean, I would think there's tons of news articles that would be Ram. And, usually a search is going to show Rams game or State Farm Arena or something. For some reason, even though the Rams play this weekend in a playoff game in State Farm Arena, when you search it, it comes back no news articles. Apparently, I guess nobody really needs to know that there's a playoff football game this week, but they don't want you to put together
No.
people like me to say, what great irony that they can't play here because of the fires. So they go to State Farm Arena, which just canceled the fire insurance from thousands of people where the Rams normally play.
That's right. And the football is your distraction. Of course, they're able to go on and do that, mess with the algorithm. We know that. That's the game. The more we get tuned into that and understand that's what they're doing, they get even better at it. Their algorithms improve every week. We were talking earlier, Garland, before we started, and we see that this machine, the censorship industrial complex, is getting so powerful, and we can't. It's hard to stay up on it, but it's good you pointed that out because yes, that's
my mistake.
yeah.
Somebody put it in there. The game was last week, which makes it even worse. Wouldn't you think you'd get the results? Wouldn't you think you'd search Rams game, State Farm Arena, Rams win and blow out over the Vikings, Vikings fall apart in State Farm Arena? There'd be all kinds of articles. They just played, and one moves on, and there's oddly enough, for the first time in history, I'm searching for a football game that happened last week, and for some reason, no news articles. I guess ESPN and Fox News Sports, for some reason, none of them were interested in the Rams game, maybe because it was in State Farm Arena, and they don't want people going, Rams game, holy shit, that name of that State Farm Arena.
So that would cause a massive outcry of maybe boycotting, and that would cost a lot of money to the NFL. And so they have to make sure that nobody connects those dots. That's why. And of course, the reporters that could be reporting on this stay in line. They're told, don't draw that connection. This is football. This is the distraction. We need people to have an outlet to deal with, to put the pain and suffering aside and give them some fun. Stop trying to make everything political. And the reporters go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm on board. Yeah, sure. There you go.
And so what is Karen Bass, the ostensible mayor? As I said, Karen Bass, to me, I mean, she was the vice chair of the National Endowment for Democracy. As far as I'm concerned, I just simply consider her a CIA operative. But what's happened with her? Is she on top of things? Is she straightening it out or what?
No, she's not on top of anything. So we knew that, yeah, she went mute when she first started. Then she gave a prepared speech that her handlers gave her. She pulled a Joe Biden with the whole, she couldn't even insert the website. She goes, go to URL. It's like, okay, yeah, there you go. There's a Joe Biden moment. Did you see that one, Garland?
Yes, go to, yes, she said, for more information, go to, and she was like, you could tell she was reading. She said, go to URL. And I'm like, well, for starters, you're reading it like a zombie. Secondly, do you have any idea what you're reading? Give us the URL. You're just saying like, go to you. So obviously she has no clue even about basic. She doesn't have the computer skills to know what a URL is.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable to watch somebody. Let me add this, which shows if you're that incompetent in this day and age, how the hell can you be the mayor of a city and you don't know what a URL is?
You know what? I have a new idea about this because I think we might have made a mistake 20 something years ago with that famous moment of George W. Bush sitting in the classroom in Florida reading My Pet Goat, and he's saying, "Mr. President, we're under attack," and he does nothing. We may have misread what was actually happening there. Here we are looking at the leader of our country in unable to be to president, right? To do any presidenting. That's not really the thing that I think happened. I think he was a handler of the Cheney regime or whatever you want to call it, Halliburton, whatever the big thing that he was the face of, very similar to Karen Bass. Their ability to be competent or not competent isn't really a factor. What is a factor is waiting for instructions from their handlers.
Yep.
So Karen Bass going silent or not reading an URL is her mind is in line with, tell me the next thing I need to do. You are
Yep.
not a leader. You were not selected to be a leader. You were selected to do the bidding of the donor class and the oligarchy that assigned you to that position. So the only thing we should be concerned about is their ability to do that, bend over and take it and put a face on the operation. So yeah, so back to the George W. Bush, I look back at that and I go, that really was the wrong assessment. It's not about he was unable to do anything. It was he was waiting for his next
Right.
instruction. That's
He
it.
hadn't been
That's the
told.
world we live in.
Yep. He hadn't. These people are so, accustomed to getting instructions. They're such puppets. Then when they don't get instructions, it's almost like they freeze. You know what I mean? Like like the operating system frees up. Okay, well, what next?
Yeah,
They haven't told me what next. Hold on a
that's correct.
second. Can I make a phone call and I'll tell you what next? They don't know what next because they are avatars for power.
Yeah.
That's something I truly believe. These people are not power. They're an avatar for power, nothing more.
I want your viewers to go back when they get a chance. Look at the face of Karen Bass in that moment of silence, and then go back and compare that face to George W. Bush in
Yeah.
2001. It's the same face. It's not a face of I don't know what's going on. It's a face of I'm not going to open my mouth until I'm told exactly what to do because I know how important of a moment this is, and I don't want to botch it. I'm waiting for my next instruction. That's what's going on. And there's a little fear behind the eyes. Not fear of I don't know how to lead, fear of I don't want to piss off the people that are actually in charge.
Right. I don't want to say something that I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah.
I'd be better off to be silent. The guy I had on earlier, Jeremy Kuzmarov, who does Covert Action Magazine. I don't know if you're familiar with that. He does a lot of he's great on
Yeah.
lots of CIA intelligence
Yes,
stuff,
yes.
right? That the Covert Action Magazine was started by Philip Agee, former CIA guy. So it's great. And we were talking about that, about these people, a lot of them. And we discussed Karen Bass a little bit. And it was like, look, LA is an important city. LA is a city, you got Hollywood, you got movies, you got news, you got all of these things that need to be controlled. This is where the message comes out, and the message needs to be strictly controlled, right? So you got to have your operator in that city, in that region. So if something happens, that person has to be able to control the message.
Yeah, exactly. Um, you know, looking closer at somebody like Gavin Newsom comparatively, he's a lot better, or he has been up till now. I think you're starting to see his inability to keep it cool because he's been doing the swaying and the smiling when he's not supposed
What's
to,
with the shoulder dance and
the
all?
little shoulder dance. Yeah, but up till this point, he's been a little better at being that smooth, slick dude. But it's the same thing for him. He's got to follow instructions, and when he talks too much. He should
Yeah.
he should take a lesson from Karen Bass and just go silent for once, because the things he's letting out when he talks, he thinks he's doing damage control in these interviews, and this guy keeps admitting about all these zoning laws that are. I've been meeting with Josh Green over at, like, we've been talking from Hawaii. Really? You've been talking to the governor of Hawaii about what to do next with this property that the banks want, that BlackRock wants? How are you going to get it ready for them? Oh, we're doing zoning laws. We're making it harder for single families to rebuild. But he's saying it in this very jovial way of, you know what? They're not going to be able to afford it anyway. So we're just going to allow them to come back in these apartments, these high-rise condos. We're really excited about them. We're meeting with experts about this. We can't wait to get these projects going. And he literally says the term Los Angeles 2.0. Are you kidding me? You're calling it Los Angeles 2.0? Like, oh yes, because we have the Olympics coming up in 2028. So it's just at this point we should at least understand this disconnect of the leadership with the people they're supposed to be governing. You're not governing us. You're protecting the powerful people that you're having these meetings with, and you're admitting to it on camera.
Well, and one of the things that I go around in circles because people will discuss, well, they had to had start the fires or they didn't start the fires, and I say, well, those kinds of, when these kind of things happen, and I say, look, either way, it's just like the protest, right? If there's a given country that they want to overthrow, and people legitimately protest over the price of oranges, whatever, they'll take that organic protest and they'll try to spread it out and turn it into a color revolution. The same way with these natural disasters. If they started the fires, if they didn't start the fires, if they started the fires, they'll start the fires, and then they'll use that for their nefarious, diabolical means. If they didn't start the fires and they're like, we got some fires. How could we utilize that? You know what I'm saying? So either way, with these types of things, whether they're organic or not organic, the end result is the same. They're going to take it and they're going to use this to their advantage, to some plan, devious and diabolical plan that they already had. We can argue about whether or not they started them, but what I don't argue about is if they did or didn't, they're up to no good once these natural disasters happen.
So I do think that's a good place to start with people. Start that conversation with people about, hey, they're seizing this opportunity. At least you have to
At
be able to see
minimum.
that. And
Yeah.
then when you look closer at these things, you start to see, well, is it about seizing the opportunity or is it about creating the
Right.
opportunity?
Exactly.
But it's a good place to start. And I have to add this to one in because this happened. We got word on this last night that up a little north from us, this is in like the Santa Cruz area. So it's far from LA, but it's still in the California area. There was a lithium battery plant, that facility. It's called Moss Landing Power Plant, and it exploded last night. This is the toxic, hazardous chemicals in the
Is
air.
that the gas that people
That's
were
correct.
choking on?
This happened. So they evacuated the whole area. This is just south of Santa Cruz, and so now we have more toxic, hazardous stuff in the air. And the key word here is the lithium. So you're talking about the opportunity here. What are we looking at here? So we saw the same thing in North Carolina with the hurricanes. There was this area of this lithium that was available. So when BlackRock comes in and takes over the property, they now have access to that lithium. This is the game plan. So again, this is another thing that we can start with this and say, whether it was created on purpose or not, this is certainly an opportunity to come in and grab these resources. Lithium's a very valuable commodity for a defense company like BlackRock. And so why did it go up in flames? We have to look closer at this. But whatever the plan is, whatever the diabolical scheme is, people are suffering from this. There are horrible toxins in the air right now. And we're lucky we're in LA, but still, I feel bad for anybody in that vicinity right now. I mean, to breathe this crap right now is awful. This is cancer-causing materials in the air right now. The people that had to be evacuated. This is horrible. This is horrible. How is this related to everything else going on in California? Well, we know it's all related. It's all connected. But the fact that this should be number one story right now. We should be looking at this lithium storage facility and why it was even built in the first place. And it's unbelievable. We got to go down this. I guess we got to go down this rabbit hole and figure out more about this. But this just happened last night, Garland. So we're still looking at it.
Let me see if I can get this. I want to show you something.
Yeah.
If it's available. I mean, I'm not saying it's related. I ain't saying it ain't. What do you think of this? The largest lithium mine in Europe is in Ukraine. 3 days ago, January 14, Russia takes control of Ukrainian lithium mines. Russia has captured 2 of Ukraine's 4 lithium deposits, potentially impacting access to critical raw materials, right? The conflict, boom. So Russia has just taken control of the largest, in one of the towns they've taken in Donbass in the eastern Ukraine, has the largest lithium mines in Europe. I don't know.
It's
you look at these things and you just this is the way I look at it. I don't know if there is a connection. I just think it's interesting. And I let people look at these. As soon as you said that, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I just had a guy on the other day. We're in lithium mines and now lithium.
Mhm.
And it's like, lithium. Why does that? Holy crap. Now, I'm not saying they're connected, but I ain't saying they ain't.
Hey, if anyone is just questioning that the California disasters that are happening right now in real time have anything to do with Ukraine, I'll throw one more coincidence into the mix. We have these generals that are Ukrainian, in the Ukrainian military generals that own property in California, in LA, multi-million dollar homes. At least we know there was a handful of them that lost their homes in the fire. They're part of the Palisades fire. They lost their homes, and we're like, how did Ukrainian generals get property in California? Why did they have property in California? Well, and their houses did burn down. Multi-million dollar properties. How does that connect? Probably just another coincidence, Garland.
I'm sure, always. Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you one thing. It wasn't hard for them. They laundered, they were steadily laundering that couple hundred billion. What is it now? 180 billion in Ukraine, 22 billion, 200 billion dollars. And I had heard, I don't know if you've heard this, that it's like around 150 billion is what it costs. Like the amount, a little less than the amount that we sent for Ukraine is what it would cost to rebuild the LA stuff.
It's unbelievable. And the money that we know, Californians ourselves, the taxpayers, we pay more taxes in California than anywhere else. And so we're sending more money to Ukraine than anyone else out of our taxpayer dollars. And then so if you own the properties here, that there was no water available, the water was shut off, the reservoirs are bone dry, you're getting your insurance canceled by State Farm, and your money that you're paying out of your paycheck has been going to a proxy war in another country. And so it's the twisted, disgusting part of that is that you're not even going to show up and save my house after everything you've taken out of my paycheck. Unbelievable. It's disgusting. We should be in the street just yelling at the top of our lungs about this.
Wow. Yes. It's madness. We will continue, and we'll continue to look at these things. And as I've said, I just put that up there. I just think it's interesting that the Russians get the lithium, and it blew up yesterday, right?
Yeah. No, this
The
was
lithium mine
last night. Yes. Yeah.
last night. So 2 days later, day and a half later, boom. Okay, let's get to the ceasefire. You know, I tell you what, the first thing that popped to my mind, and that is it based on what I don't know what's true and what's false. For those of you who don't know, based on what I've read, my research, this is what it appears to be. Maybe you know more than me. It appears to me that like Trump sent somebody named Witkoff over there, that the Israelis had said, no, we won't, that there was a ceasefire that was written up as early as like last May, that Hamas said, okay, we'll take it. Israel said, no way. And that the Biden administration said, we can't get Israel to take it. Apparently, Trump sent some guy named Witkoff over there, and the guy said to the Israelis, shut up. Trump said, you got to take it, you got to take it, and they took it. Now, this is my understanding. I'm telling you. If that's true, then that shows that Biden could have at any time, which we all said, he could have stopped. You're providing everything. You could have stopped it anytime you want to, and he didn't. Is that your understanding of what happened? That's as best as I can tell. So I don't know any more than that. You tell me, what do you understand that what happened, and what are your thoughts on this thing?
So there's a lot of levels to this, Garland. Yes, you mentioned Stephen Witkoff. He's the special envoy that Trump was able to send over, force a meeting with Netanyahu. It was also like some a religious day. He didn't even want to take the meeting. So that the whole narrative from Trump's camp is that you have to force him into a deal, you got to pressure him, and then he'll cave. So that was the narrative that came out of the Trump camp. Now, it's not that's not like so far away from the truth. The point, the thing that needs to be said though is what was left out from that narrative. And then we'll get to the Biden stuff, because that part's very important, that this idea that Biden's taking full credit for this, which is a total lie, complete lie. But here's why we say, okay. So to the Trump thing. So what we found out from Hotspot immediately, they're reporting that Israel Israeli media is saying that Trump put all of these conditions in there that are only going to benefit Israel. This is not even a good deal. So you want to talk about the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal? This is a bad deal. He's
Okay.
talking about in this deal, it would be retroactively supporting Israel throughout everything they've been doing, all of their war crimes throughout the last, I mean, we're saying since October 7th, but obviously we
Right.
know it's before that. But they're calling it a gift. It's a gift bag of benefits, which actually lifts the sanctions on Israelis' Pegasus spyware. It also takes the IDF soldiers that were accused of war crimes
Right.
completely
It's going to protect
completely,
all of
yeah.
them.
They
It's
don't
going
need
to
so
protect all Israel, all of them from
yes,
war crimes. I knew that at some point, and let me say this. I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, at some point, this is it. All things end at some point. I
yes.
said, and I guarantee you, this was a while back, and in just a conversation, I said, I'm going to guarantee you one thing. Whenever this ends, because he was talking about the war crimes and this and that, and they're going to be worried. I said, I will guarantee you something. When this ends, the United States will, however they do it, whatever they come up with, protect everybody from war crimes. And I said, and one of the reasons they have no choice is because if they're guilty of war crimes, then we're guilty of your war
Yep,
crimes, which
yep.
is true. So I guarantee, this was like last summer. I said, I guaranteed my buddy that there will be a sweeping guarantee that we will protect them of all war crimes. I knew that was coming. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about it. I'm glad you told me. I can call them and tell them and said, hey, remember what I told you that? Anyway, go on.
No, but it's interesting because it's a horrible deal. Biden takes the opportunity to take credit for the horrible deal, so he can't say it's a horrible deal. He's got to say it's a great deal. But yeah, he had nothing to do with it. The reason Biden has been unable, and I think your viewers know this. I mean, we know this. The reason Biden has been unable to do any deal with Netanyahu is because Israel controls our government. Period. End of story. The lobbying from AIPAC, the idea that you can even get anything done. Every single time we've tried to do anything, nothing's getting done. So you have to just kind of show your support. You got to give Netanyahu shows up to DC. You got to give him the standing ovations. You got to do his laundry in the White House, and then you got to send. So this is the kind of stuff we already know the game there. But okay, so this part's really important, Garland. So what we found out from Al Jazeera English is that Benjamin Netanyahu is now saying, so this is after the envoy, after Wilkoff left, and all this like Trump celebrating, we did this, Biden trying to take credit, everybody at each other's throats. Netanyahu is now saying his cabinet will not meet as scheduled to approve the deal. So just to be very clear with your viewers, this deal wasn't actually signed. It was pre-approved and it was going to be signed, and that's supposed to be on Sunday. It's looking like they're saying right now he's not going to approve the deal,
Al
and he's
Jazeera,
going to
I'm looking.
blame Hamas for causing a last-minute crisis. So all of this commotion about who gets the credit, who doesn't get the credit, who's lying, who's exaggerating, all of it is for nothing. There is no deal, Garland, and the whole thing is just a big joke.
Well,
And I think
Al
go ahead.
Jazeera is now reporting that they have. Al Jazeera is reporting Israeli security cabinet has accepted the ceasefire deal with Hamas that is expected to come into force on Sunday, according to Netanyahu's office. So they have
Okay.
accepted it.
Okay, they have accepted it. So we have an update on that. Now, look, the deal goes through. Okay, now you have all these conditions that are absolutely horrible. And Biden put himself in a position now where I guess he can't be critical of it because he's trying to take full credit for it. So this leaves us in a position, and you know that the mainstream media, nobody's going to be critical of this thing. They're all going to celebrate it. And all for what? So the new administration can come in and we can continue giving Israel a free pass for all of their war crimes and their crimes against humanity and their genocides and their illegal occupation and all the stuff we know, that 100% true. We can't do anything about. And then Trump gets to come in like a hero doing this. So that's I don't know, Garland. I mean, I'm glad. I guess in one sense, I'm glad there's something being done, but
Yeah,
it's
you
not
want the
really
killing
anything,
to
though.
stop, but you knew that there was going to
Yeah.
be this fair. Now, you ready for my conspiracy theories?
Yes, go for it.
All right. Let me go. Not too deep, but deep into my conspiracy theory. Talking to my buddy yesterday, I said, look, I don't, we're like, Trump did this, Trump did that. And I said, hey, look, if there's bombs dropping on innocent people and they stop, I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to, I don't like I knew what they were going to do, but We want bombs to stop dropping on innocent people. And so that's a good thing. I said, but here's my thought. We're like, Trump did this, Trump did that. Trump wants this to happen. Trump doesn't want this to happen. He's the guy doing it. I said, here's my feeling. There are very, very powerful people, extremely powerful people. You never know the names of those kind of people. You'll hear Musk, but the real power, you don't hear these kind of names. You don't know who the hell they are. And BlackRock is going to be involved. I said, but here's my thoughts. And people are like, Trump's going to in the Ukraine conflict. I said, he might. I said, and if he does, here's what's happened. There are various factions of the ruling elite, very powerful factions. And whatever faction of the ruling elite that had put Trump in office had said, look, Biden administration scaring us. We're really, really rich. The world is our playground. We're having fun. And these bastards are going to blow it up and kill us all. We don't want that to happen. They've taken things too far. We will put someone there, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, you're to clean it up. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to end the Israeli conflict. Don't worry about it. If Trump said, hey, but they already asked Benjamin Netanyahu for that deal, and he said he won't take it. We're going to call Benjamin Netanyahu. Don't worry about it. Send your guy over there. When he gets it, Benjamin Netanyahu will have his marching orders, and he will say yes. Do you understand that? Yeah. Well, what about AIPAC? I went on AIPAC's website. They were like, it's a great deal. AIPAC would never approve of this, any deal. AIPAC would always say, it's terrible. No, you're hurting. For some reason, AIPAC's like, yeah, great deal, right? Mm-hmm. How about all the pro-Israel neocons in Congress? Radio silence. Not a word from them. In other words, very, very powerful people have said, I want this over. And it's over. Do you all understand? Yes, sir, we understand. Thank you. AIPAC, you got it? Yes, we got it. These are the people that fund AIPAC. These are the people that fund everybody. And they have said to Donald Trump, here's what we need you to do. We got a mess. We're unhappy with it. Right? And that this is, in their opinion, to save Israel. That they're looking at it saying, look, everybody in the world hates Israel. It's gone broke. It's fallen apart. We got to save it. And here's how we're going to save Israel. We're going to end this. And then I bet you're going to see Saudis involved. You're going to see Saudi normalization. Let's face it, the CIA, the Mossad, and the Saudi intel work very closely together. This has been set by some very powerful people. And everything that's happened, there's no way that somebody goes to Israel and says, just do this. And Netanyahu is like, well, I don't like it. Yes, sir. He salutes and shuts his mouth. AIPAC shuts his mouth. The neocons in Congress. And what about the mainstream media? They're supposed to be screaming. The New York, oh, this is terrible. All of their mouths are conveniently shut. Now, let me add this. The whole Ukraine conflict. Oh, Trump won't be able to. I feel like this. These powerful people have said to Trump, that Ukraine conflict is scaring us. We don't want to get new, and it's all screwed up. Trump, end it. If they give him not the authority, if they give him his marching orders and say, you're in office, we want you to do this, that we don't like that. It's causing us trouble in Israel. That Ukraine thing is causing us trouble. End it. End it. What did Trump say, Reese? He said things that you can't say. You can't say, yeah, they asked Trump, how's it going to end? He says, Putin will decide how it's going to end. You can't say that. And the media is not beating him up for it. So my opinion is this, my conspiracy theory. The powerful people who want this crap over had said to Trump, your job is to end it. You don't worry about it. We've talked to the people. The media know to keep their mouths shut. AIPAC, Netanyahu, all these people know that we're giving the marching orders here. We got a little bit of a mess. Trump, clean it up. He's doing what he's told. And the things that Trump will do and will say, well, that could never happen. It couldn't happen unless the people, the BlackRocks, the people with the real power wanted it to happen. And then they'll be like, hey, can you believe Trump? He came in, he stopped the war in Russia, in Israel. He stopped the war in Ukraine. He can't do that crap.
No, that's
told and given the power to do it by the people in power. That's my conspiracy theory. Your thoughts?
All right. Well, first of all, let's just be clear. That's not a conspiracy theory. That is the way we run foreign policy. We've always done it this way. every every 4 years, every time there's a switch of a president, there's always some deal announced. There's always some one administration is going to take advantage of the other one coming in or the other one going out, and Israel plays this game. And of course, 100% right. APEC has to sign off on everything. BlackRock has to sign off on everything. The Mossad has to sign off on everything, just to kind of position the American people have to be in a position where they're seeing this theater go down, thinking it's real life progress happening, that we're getting things done. And if people there's a different narrative they have to create every time. I mean, I remember the Carter trying to do the deal, and then they did a little switch around, and then they brought Reagan in, and they said, hey, Carter screwed that up. He's weak. Now we've kind of set the stage for the Reaganomics era was set. Israel was behind all of that. So this whole changing of power, changing of the guard. It's not really I know it's not really changing of the guard. It's just changing the theater of the show for the American people to make us think it is. And so yes, absolutely, this is what's happening right now. Trump's going to get credit for all this stuff that he's doing, which is exactly what he was told he has to do or should do, or it's not even allowed to do. Like you said, these are his orders. You want to be in charge? These are your pecking orders. Do it. And so we are happy with that. I'll give one more example. You guys all know that when Joe Biden came in, the big deal was he was going to end this Afghanistan war. Wow, how did he do that? The 20 years. Oh, that was very easy. You took however many $2 trillion, whatever you were spending per year, you're just taking it and you're moving it over. It's a balance transfer from one credit card to the next. Balance transfer season, take the debt over here, move it over to Ukraine. Here we go, time for Ukraine. So we just move things around, repackage stuff, theater. That's all it is. So we know that's what we're in the middle of experiencing right now in real time.
Yeah, it's like what was that? The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You're watching it one year, and the guy's wife is one lady, Felicia Rashad, or whoever. You come back, it's a different person. It's the same show. You know what I mean? You just got a different person playing the part of Mrs. whatever her name is, right? And that's what we get. And I really think that there are members of the ruling elite or factions of the ruling elite. And, look, let's face it. These people are always trying to figure out how to live forever. They're going to transfer their consciousness into a machine or some such crap and live forever. You know what I mean? They're always up to that stuff, right? They don't want to die. And I feel like they looked at this Ukraine stuff and said, you're getting close to nuclear war. We don't care if the masses die, but we'll die too. And that's unacceptable, right? Yeah. And it's a little too close for comfort. And I think that it's, what is it? The wolf, right? You know what I mean? They brought in the cleanup guy, and it's Trump. We got some things that we're unhappy with. We're looking bad. The Biden people, that's Israel stuff. It's hurting our reputation.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us our bottom line. McDonald's going out of business. Star Trips, Bucks are losing billions. People are starting. They're like, where people around the world are boycotting. It's hurting our bottom line. It's hurting our PR image. We can't do the things we want to do. We got a new guy in. You clean that up as told. Look, I believe this. When Witkoff got over there, Netanyahu and those people are always so cocky. When Witkoff got over there, they shut up and did what they were told.
Yep.
They had already gotten a phone call from the people and they know when those people call, for all the cockiness Netanyahu has, he knows when he gets that phone call and those, be it BlackRock, whoever calls and says, this is what we're doing, to say no, you're dead. You know what I mean? It's what do they say? It's La Ploma something. The cartels have I forgot what it is in Spanish, but the cartels in South America have a saying about bribes, right? When they make a bribe to an official, the silver or the lead. We're going to give you here we go. You do what we told. Here's $150,000. Now, my friend standing behind me has a machine gun. You can take the money or I'll step aside and he'll resolve this issue with a machine gun, the silver or the lead. When people like Netanyahu, who seem powerful, Netanyahu ain't got no damn power, none. When he gets the call, he knows it's the silver or the lead. These people are international criminals. And he knows if you don't do this, hey man, you just had a prostate operation. You might have to go back in the hospital and go under, and God only knows if you'll wake up the next time. It could be very unfortunate. They don't have to tell him that. He already knows. He puts his head down and shakes his head, yeah. But they'll say to him, but there's something in it for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to jail. You're not going to get the war crimes. Do what you're told. We won't kill you, and you won't be held liable for your crimes. Okay. Yes, sir. I think that's the way I see this. I don't see this as some shock of conscience that people suddenly had to do the right thing or some negotiation. These people don't negotiate.
No, they made him an offer he couldn't refuse, Garland. So there you go. That's it. There's two more things I want to throw in that we tend to skip over because we're looking at it from the analytical eyes. The positioning, the structuring, the theater, the politics. But we got to remember the people that are suffering from this. And so I see this footage of Palestinian children celebrating right now in the streets. And I saw Caitlin Johnstone doing a post about it. And, we know she's done some incredible work, on against the, Western Empire and, imperialism machine. And, she's talking about, to see this happy, joyous moment. She wants to believe, and we want to believe that there's something that this faith or this hope they had that there's going to be this peace coming, or just this moment of not suffering just for a moment. Is that worth something? Put the politics aside, all this positioning and restructuring and changing up the guard and all this crap that we've been talking about. Is there something valuable happen? Is there something that we can celebrate? Is there a moment that are we allowed to take a moment and say they deserve this happy moment, even though it might just be just this little incremental time, 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights of not being bombed, not having limbs blown off of your brothers and sisters and your parents. And so water. That's the human moment we're seeing. So with that, I think we just need to take a breath and say, this was created for whatever reason. They're having this peace, this moment. Then we can go back to the suffering. We can go back to the, let's try and find justice somehow and keep fighting the fight every day, which we have to do. And people like Caitlin Johnstone has to do every day. But we just take this human moment and go, I hope it's worth something. It's something that they have this, they've made space for this for them. So that's good. The other thing I should also mention is the people here, or the people around the world that have been protesting, they're celebrating right now as well, because they feel that something big has happened. And that's also hard. I'm conflicted on that part, because I know a lot of people that were in the streets with us. We were there. We saw the Palestinian protests since October 7th. And a lot of those people ended up voting for Kamala Harris. And you're like, well, how could you vote? Well, we protested. We showed up to Chicago. We were in the streets, at the DNC saying, stop this genocide. And then you end up voting for Kamala anyway. Now they get to, I guess, go through the motions that they believe this is the side that believes that Biden did this deal.
Oh, they got to be out of their minds.
That's really tragic to see, because it kind of gives them that. I knew if we would just hold out and, we voted for the right guy, the good guy team, and now we get this relief for the Palestinian people. So that part is tragic to watch on that end. But yeah, there's a lot of emotions we got to look through, and a lot of it's complicated, Garland. I mean, so we just have to step out for a second and look at all the different things going on here. But it's pretty loaded what's been going on in the last 48 hours.
Well, let me add this. Here's the key, I think, to that will convince me that my conspiracy theory is on the money. They're going to clean up the whole thing. You know what I mean? BlackRock, Saudi money will come in to rebuild. So the Saudis have said what? They said, well, we can't normalize until there's a Palestinian state. They've decided this is too much of a problem. It's besmirched our record. We can't do the things that we want. The global South people are furious at us. They're going to come in, I believe, and clean it all up. They're going to say they're going to get their state, and the UN's going to do this, and we're going to rebuild the houses here and there. You know what I mean? They're going to come in and clean up the whole. And to me, that's the key to show that it was all a bit planned. Because you mean to tell me all these since 1940 something, you can't fix it, and you're going to come in here all of a sudden clean it up? Let me show you something. Again, for the crazy conspiracy people like myself. Where is it? Let me show you something. This is from BlackRock's page, right?
Mm.
BlackRock elects Ahmed H. Nasser to board of directors. But okay, he's the CEO of Saudi Arabian Oil, Aramco, one of the largest. Ahmed Nasser, right? He's
Mm.
also, of course, part of the Saudi government, obviously, right? So that's why I say you're going to see BlackRock / Saudi Arabia come in with their unlimited money. They're going to do the rebuilding. And you already know BlackRock bought what's left of Ukraine. So when they come in, when the Ukraine conflict, and I think they've decided these are people. My sister is an accountant, and she's always like, don't throw good money for bad. You got to wait. I think that they've got to a point they're like, Ukraine, we're throwing good money for bad. So we need to get out of that. They're going to get out. I believe I'm wrong. I may be wrong. I think they're going to get out of it. They're going to walk away from it. And they're going to say, get the hell out of that. We're done with that. BlackRock, you got this area, and BlackRock's going to come in and they're going to make their money and they're going to do what, you know what I mean? Now they're going to go in afterwards and people are like, oh, they're going to do all these terrible things. No, they ain't. They're going to go in now and they're going to make their money out of whatever the hell is left of Ukraine that they bought all of it up. And however they can now, the vultures, for the BlackRock vultures, the Citibank, Goldman Sachs vultures are going to go into whatever's left of Ukraine. They're going to make a deal. They're going to shake hands with the Russians and they're going to say, and by the way, Russia, now that we're, how can we make some money and some deals on Ukraine? You know what I mean? Now it's going to be about cleaning up both of those messes shockingly fast.
Yeah.
And so they can start making money off of them. What do you think?
No, I agree. It's a BlackRock operation on both sides. So you have this, basically it's Ukraine Incorporated. Now it's Gaza Incorporated. They just take, it's a corporation. Of course, we live in one too here. So anyways, we're all part of this big corporate situation. There's no countries. As somebody said, I don't know who to attribute this quote to, but that there are no countries. They're just corporations. And we're just seeing that in real time with these guys. And you go back to this idea that we're celebrating a ceasefire, but it's like, what can you even call a ceasefire when you've annihilated the entire thing? And you're just going to, bring BlackRock in, bring in the corporations and rebuild. It's not really a ceasefire. It's just the end of one stage, the beginning of the next stage. That's pretty much.
And you know what? How about this? It's not a ceasefire. You stopped a murder spree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the guy walking around with a hockey mask and a machete hacking people to death, and you stop him. Oh, we've got a ceasefire between him and his murder victims. That ain't a ceasefire. You stopped a maniacal madman from killing or mad people. You stopped, because even the language of ceasefire makes it seem like there was a war. They'll say the war in Gaza. War, you got one side that has F-35 jets, bombs, artillery, and the other side, guys that are just kind of wandering through the rubble with small arms, fighting the best they can. And that ain't a war. Yeah. All right, let's move forward. We've done enough. I've freaked myself out enough. Max Blumenthal, my good friend, two good guys that I think the world of, that I know very well, because they're local. Both of these guys are local. Sam Husseini, Max Blumenthal. They've been giving Tony Blinken what for, why not, and don't do it again. For the people who don't know about what happened, let everybody know what happened, and then we can go to commenting on it.
You got it. So, we got word about Max Blumenthal's big interruption. We didn't know about Sam yet. This is a two-parter. So they were at the State Department. This is Anthony Blinken, as we know, the biggest warmongering psychopath of all, right? The biggest of all of the Biden cronies and the whole gang of his regime. You have this guy, this extra special sociopathic guy who's giving his final speech. Is like his big farewell, right? And so that if you can get Max Blumenthal in there, Sammy Saini in there, there's going to be some pushback, and especially from Max. Like this is what we expect from Max, and he did an incredible job, and we covered that on our show yesterday. And while we were covering it, we got word of what happened after, which is not as it doesn't settle as well what happened after. But I'll start with the part where Max he got this is what we call it's a coordinated protest. It's a who taught us about this? Jose Vega. He was great at this. Where
interventions, they call them interventions.
Yeah, yeah, you're pushing back. You coordinated this in a way where you know you're going to get filmed. You got your sound on, you got your camera on. Other people are filming, and you want to show the world this afterwards. So you expect to be taken out. So I mean, as far as like the security's going to remove you. So you expect that, but you want to get this in there and get your message out to the world, which Max did a beautiful job. I mean, just calling out all of you're going to be known as genocide. You understand that's in your legacy, the people you've killed. Are you okay with that? And the Israeli ties. He even talked about as they're pulling Max out. He was talking about the ties to your family's ties to Israel. And that how do you feel about that? That your entire legacy is going to be like this, Anthony Blinken. And so we thought that was the end of it. Then and that was a lot to celebrate. We were applauding that. Then we find out that Sam Husseini, who was sitting right there, he didn't become as vocal. He was just trying to get a question in, like you're supposed to be able to do. If you're a
Right.
journalist, you're credentialed, you're sitting in the State Department. Yes. This is a moment where everybody should have a chance to ask a question. He was told by the henchman, Matt Miller, he was told, we're not taking your question. And Sam was very upset. He goes, what do you mean you're not taking particularly me? And he's like, yeah. So he was trying to interrupt. And this is right after Max got taken out. And he's saying, excuse me, Mr. Blinken, I'm being told I can't even have he's like, wait your turn, respect the process. Because I'm sorry, the process, I'm being told personally, you're not, so I'm just I think he used the term, so I'm just a potted plant. I'm just sitting here.
Right.
Not, you're not acknowledging me as a human being, as a journalist. They called security over, and he wasn't, again, like he wasn't doing the whole protest shouting loud. He was talking like a very calm, just, I want to understand something. I'm not going to get a question. Is that what you're telling me? The security comes over, 3 guys pick him up by all like with his legs up in the air, and they drag him out of there as he's saying, this is not a process that I respect. And how can you do this? How can you guys do this? You're taking me out. You're manhandling. You're hurting me, is what he said. You're hurting me right now. Now, this is the worst part of this. There's 2 things that we have to understand from this, because it's not just that the manhandling and the treating people with this horrible treatment of accredited journalists. You're going to treat people this way. Two points that need to be made about this, Garland. One is every other journalist in that room kept their mouth shut. They didn't do anything. And that is the saddest part about the state of our industry, any sort of media, that you're going to be in that room and just keep your mouth shut and not say anything while you're watching a fellow journalist being manhandled and removed and hurt in the process, and you're going to stay silent. Then add fuel to the fire, salt on the wound. Then we have the media coverage, CNN, pretending they don't know who these clowns are that are interrupting, and the State Department needs to do a better job at who they're letting in and not letting in, and they don't even identify them as journalists. They were just disruptors that came in, these like riffraff. We don't know who they are, and it was very embarrassing. That's the coverage from mainstream on this incident. It's absolutely appalling, Garland.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I always like to search. Let me do a search on Sam Husseini. Who is Sam Husseini? Journalist forced out of Antony Blinken's presser. Well, I don't, you know what they're going to say. He's a madman. I'm surprised. They're probably going to call him like Hamas supporter or a Putin bot or something. You know what I mean? These days, it's just attacks. But that's where we are now. You know, the state of our journalism. You know, it was interesting because recently somebody was playing some kind of a video or some craziness that they said on CNN, right? And my position was, well, one good thing about that, nobody's watching CNN anymore. You know, that's the other side of it. And that is that, what is it? The Washington Post has now admitted they've lost 90% of their subscribers over the last 3 years. Over half, this so-called legacy media is dying. And apparently Bezos, I defended him, but he said, oh, you know, we've got to appeal to, you know, like basically working class people or something like that, Midwesterners, people who not just the normal, you know, liberal class, right? And apparently some of the top people at the Washington Post were enraged or furious about that. But here's the thing about it with their media. There's no way to save themselves. You know, just like the Democratic Party, there's no way to save themselves because they can't, no matter how much they diagnose where they went wrong, they still can't push back against the intelligence communities. They still can't stop. So it's like, how do we do propaganda for the CIA in a way that appeals to the common man? That's the problem they have. They're out. People know who they are now. So there's no way to fix it when you're just, how can we continue to be a voice for the ruling elite and a voice for the intelligence communities in a way that people are going to like? It ain't going to happen. So they're done. Your thoughts?
They're slowly dying. It's a slow process. I don't want to celebrate just yet because they
Yeah.
still like you're right. People aren't watching the CNN story when they covered this particular incident yesterday. But then CNN they get their story gets reprinted in all these other, so they're kind of all still working as one entity. So we can say, oh yeah, CNN lost their audience, or there's less people reading the New York Times or Washington Post. But if you add them all up together, they're still working as one entity. And so if
Yes.
you add up all of that influence from it as one machine, it's still a lot of influence. It's still a lot of power. It still goes on Facebook feeds, and it still goes on. So people that aren't watching CNN, they're still getting the headline. They're saying
Yes.
a riffraff off the street somehow made it in the State Department. Somebody with mental illness. I mean, these are the little things, little tricks. Who obviously needs to get, we feel bad for the person, but they had to remove them, and the State Department needs to do better. So that narrative gets circulated around all of this area. So I don't think, if we're saying, yes, CNN lost their audience, people are still getting the wrong information here. So I'm not ready to celebrate the full end of this machine just yet. They're going to look for different ways they can all kind of work together and still try and get those little headlines out to keep people in line. They see the headline and they don't want to hear anything more. They don't want to hear what we're saying. So I guess we have to keep doing what we're doing and fight the censorship machine. But I still think the battle, it's still going to be a long process. We're not there. We're not there yet.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. People, you can't underestimate. These people are evil and diabolical, but they ain't stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to what I said about the mess they're in. I believe that one of the things that scared the bejesus out of them was old Luigi. But
Yeah.
not Luigi, but when he, did the unthinkable, right? And when they saw the reaction,
Yes.
they thought, they're not stupid. Don't fool yourself into thinking these people are idiots, right? So they look at that and they're like, okay, we're in a pre-revolutionary period here. They're
Yeah.
stupid. They've read books. They know history. They're not as stupid as people think they are. So I think that had something to do with, I also believe this. Believe it. Some people don't believe this. I do. I think that they're going to look for a way that the job of Trump is several things, to clean up things. But I think also part of the job of Trump is going to be a response to Luigi. They're afraid they're going to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're right. You know what I mean? They're afraid of a revolution. And when it gets to a point where you're dealing with the deterioration of the day-to-day life of the common and ordinary man and woman, you're going to have problems if you're interested in the ruling elite. And they understand that. And I think they're going to do some things maybe to try to improve the economy. They're going to try to do some things maybe to get some jobs. They're going to try to do some things to give the appearance that they're changing something, because they're not as stupid as people think they are. Now, their ideology won't allow them to do but so much. But I do think people underestimate these ruling elite people and think that they don't know what the hell's going on and they won't respond to it. They won't try to do jobs or whatever because they love the common man. But if they think they're going to kill them, they will take preemptive action. What do you think about their reactions to Luigi, and whether or not my position that they are not as stupid as people would like to believe they are?
They are. I agree. They're not as stupid as people want to believe. But here's they have one Achilles heel, that just one, and that is their ego, their pompousness, their you can't touch us. That's their Achilles heel. But that's how we get them. We get them when they're not giving us enough credit. Other than that, yes, you're right. These guys are smart as hell, as smart as they can be. And they're always trying to be 4 or 5 steps ahead of us, but they don't think we have the ability to get loud, to unite a populist movement, that an audience at Saturday Night Live is going to cheer when they try to make a joke about Luigi, when Colin Jost tries to make a joke about Luigi on the Weekend Update. and the audience cheers for Luigi. You see the look in Colin. He's like, wait, he was the punchline. Why are you guys cheering him? So there's this like pompousness that we can get them with. That's the one area. And so I do think there's hope. But yes, we have to remember these guys are smart. They're very smart. We just have to just know that they didn't think we were smart. I think that's
Right.
what I'm getting at. They didn't understand that we had the ability to see it coming.
You know what else? It wouldn't surprise me if you don't see some kind of legislation in the next few months that has something to do with healthcare. Now it's going to be bullcrap. It's not going to fix the problem. It's not going to be healthcare for everybody, but they're going to try to wave some kind of an olive branch. Well, the government will now cover something. I don't know, dental or something, whatever the hell, right? I bet that will be another tell if somewhere in the next, and the Republicans are in, they're supposed to do away with all health care. But what happens if there's something happens and they pass some law to improve some little thing with health care so they can say we did something? I bet that's coming. And it will shock everybody, but it won't shock me because they're going to respond to Luigi, but they'll give us some little worthless olive branch. But then once it passes, right? Like they'll put something in. Well, the government will now do this. I don't know, whatever. Lower the cost of something for diabetes, whatever. It'll be some symbolic bullcrap, right? And then it'll be everywhere on the news, every channel you turn, everything. Can you believe who thought the government is now doing something about healthcare? Everywhere there'll be movies and documentaries about it. The world has changed. The government has finally addressed healthcare. You'll see, I believe, within the first 6 months of the administration, you'll see that. It'll be bullcrap and it won't cost them anything, but it'll be symbolic to make an attempt to turn down the volume on the Luigi anger. What do you think about that?
I think you might be onto something, Garland. And I'm gonna. Oh my gosh! When you said that, I was thinking, how diabolical would it be if the plan was the digital ID system for healthcare that you'd have to. So you're gonna get this free stuff, but here's the exchange. You gotta sign up. Everyone's doing it. We gotta know your health records. So forget. No more. You're gonna have to show your health record. Bird flu vax is coming. You want to get your free health care? You got to check that box. Show us in the lobby. Show it to security on your way in. You have your green check mark? Oh my gosh.
It's right on your phone. You don't even have to have a card.
You don't even have to have a
look,
card.
Right. Look, what is it? If you get Medicare, right, there's a little red, white, and blue card. You might have seen, you just have older parents or whatever, you see their Medicare card. Well, you know what? Good news, Matt. You're not going to need a Medicare card. We're going to give you some app on your phone. And all you have to do when you go in is wave the app across the whatever, and you go right in, and great. Now you're going to have coverage for whatever the hell it is. I don't know, or discounts or something on something. But we're going to give everybody an app.
Yeah.
And that app on your phone that you got to have. And what they'll do is you'll want the app because you're going to get something in it. And that app will be in your phone and everything you say, do, and then eventually see you can take that app. Hey, the app works so well. Well, here's what we've decided to do. You're a fisherman, yeah. Well, we're going to make it easy. When you get your fishing license, that goes on that app too. And now when you register your car and when you and before you know it, they've got the app of all apps.
The app of all apps.
You can't get anywhere without that app. And it starts by them giving you something. What do you think?
I think 100%. It's going to be the app of all apps. But specifically with the healthcare issue, if you resist this, if you say that's not okay, that goes against bodily autonomy, it goes against all of the informed consent, all these things that we know about the medical freedom movement that we've been involved with. It goes against everything. They're going to say, what are you complaining about? You wanted healthcare. You wanted Medicare for all. You were fighting for that. Oh, now you have conditions on that. Well, you're just a complainer. You're just a crybaby. Get your healthcare, shut up, and stop complaining. I thought you wanted this. So it's going to really be hard. The resistant movement against this is going to be really hard not to be painted as just somebody who's complaining and just wants to cause trouble. Get in line. Get all your benefits. They're all waiting for you. Just sign up. Everyone's doing it. It's going to be a hard fight, Garland.
Have they started with the out in California? I've heard there's some places. I heard that what's his name was talking about some the hair. Your governor was talking about
the
Bird
sprayer.
flu, have
Yeah.
people having to get a vax or something
Okay.
for bird flu?
So we covered this before New Year's. The Gavin Newsom, this was insane what he had done. So he called. People don't know this. Gavin Newsom called a state of emergency at the end of December for California. A state of
Yes.
emergency for bird flu. He did that. Okay. And why? Because we had there were 64 cases in the country at the time of bird flu, and we had half of them. We had 32 in the state. So okay, we have state of emergency. How many of those people are dead? Zero. How many of them had person-to-person contact? And I mention this because this is the whole scare, is that there's the scientists, the experts are saying that if you get bird flu from person-to-person contact, that is deadly. That's going to be more deadly than COVID. That's going to be the worst thing we've ever seen. But it's all speculative. It hasn't happened. It's just a speculation. So these people that are getting the 64 cases, we know are coming primarily from animals, from livestock. So Gavin Newsom took a look and goes, well, we have 32 in California. 31 of those are directly from livestock. We know that. The 32nd one, so one case, we don't know what that's from. It's unknown. So that's enough to do a state of emergency. That's what he did. So now they're pushing this. They're getting the vax ready. They got obviously the patents all ready to go. Everything's, they got it already. We're just waiting for the rollout. But the California goes along with this. We've already been conditioned for this, Garland. We've already understand the get in line, do your part, 2 weeks to slow the curve, all that nonsense. We're all in this together. We know the drill. So he's ready to do that and roll this vax out. But California will be, mark my words, California will be the guinea pigs of this thing. We'll be the first in line, unless we stand up to Gavin Newsom in the meantime, because we know in the last few weeks what's been happening right here. And maybe enough people are paying attention. They go, we can't trust this guy. He took $26 billion of our homelessness money, and it's gone. We know that it's gone. We've seen this. These like Cayman Island account that popped up. We don't know. Where did the money go, man? And you bought a $9 million house in a place that, obviously that one didn't get burned down.
Oh, no, that community's fine.
But
and their reservoir is full of water. I can guarantee you that his reservoir and his community is loaded with water. It ain't dry.
He's fine. So maybe if enough of us wake up and see this, we can fight back against Newsom. But I do think that's the plan. I do think the idea is that California, we will be the guinea pigs. We'll be the first suckers that are having to get this bird flu. The Operation Warp Speed or whatever you want to call it. We'll be first in line for it because of the 32 cases that we had. No deaths, by the way. Let's be clear. No deaths, by the way. Let's be very clear. No deaths.
40 million people in California, roughly. And they call the state of emergency because 32 people get sick and none of them die.
Yep.
More people get hit by scooters and die. More people slip in their bathtubs and drown on a given week in California than get sick of bird flu. How about this? Than die of bird flu, because none die of bird flu so far, apparently. But, well, and anyway, we better get running. We got big things going on. I got to get prepared for the weekend. I got a few things. I got to go hang out with Scott Ritter on Sunday night. That's going to be a blast. And then I got to go to an event on Monday evening with Caleb Maupin. So I'm going to have a good old time. It's good, except for I'm going to freeze. It's about to get real cold here. And we're not accustomed to this kind of cold in Maryland. We get it every 4 or 5 years. So at any rate, what's happening with you? Tell people where they can find all your stuff and where they can watch your good works.
You guys can watch us on The Homeless Left on Rumble. We also started a new account on YouTube because the last one got terminated. So you can go to we call it our burner channel because we got to be careful on the algorithm, but it's called THL Presents. So you can look that up. It's brand new. It's on YouTube, but Rumble's our main place. You guys want to sign up? We're basically we go twice a week. So we do Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Pacific. And we work with we work with Truthwire, Fiorella, Isabel, Craig Passage, our doula regular on our show. We're doing some inauguration coverage over the weekend. We had Don DeBar out on the ground.
I love Don. I know him well.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And so we're going to be doing that coverage. And then also I want to plug Truthwire right now because I think today they're going to be doing Sam Husseini interview today. I believe that's coming up. So if you guys want to check out Truthwire, they're also we all work in coordination, but we're all homeless left. We're homeless together. It's all the populist voices. We've been abandoned by the Democratic Party, so we're no longer play tribal politics. We use our critical thinking skills and we unite together. Power in numbers, and we love that Garland Nixon. What you do, it's incredible. You set a great example for the rest of us, and much to look up to. And I really appreciate you having me on and having these conversations with you and your viewers.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, everybody, don't forget, follow him on follow Matt, and keep up with all of his good work, and also make sure you share this on all your social media platforms. And don't forget, I have a join button now. You can click on join and you can become a member, but make sure you follow me on Rockfin and on Rumble, because all accounts on YouTube are burner accounts, whether we know it or not. All right, thanks a lot. All right, we're out of here, guys. There.